now.
Welcome back to Post Game Beers Podcast. We are the Lupton Drinking Club. I'm your host, Kyle Malloy, joined by my producer, Crazy Ray Cartwright. We've also got our horse, Garrett Evans, in town tonight. Our Sultan of Stat, unfortunately, he's crunching numbers right now. So we gave him the night off just to work on some stats. JD, unfortunately, so upset by the last two losses. He sold his car and he is not back to Dallas yet, which is just a shame.
He is walking. He took the long walk.
He's taken the long walk, the walk of shame, if you will, and just wasn't able to make it back for the pod. So, fellas,
he's currently on 183.
A Frog Ball Series loss. It's the Mondayest Monday ever. Ray, how you feeling?
Dude, actually, all things considered, I feel great. I had myself a great Monday.
There you
go.
It was
easy, dude. Got off early, got a nap in. Dude,
wow.
My vibes are high. I know.
I love that for you, Ray. No, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good too, man. I really am. It was a good Monday. Got to go out to my first game of the year this weekend. Got to take the old Padre with me. Catch some baseball at Lupton. Vibes are good, man. All things aside, I'm feeling great.
MK, I have a question for you.
Hit.
Do you have Apple TV?
Good question. I think I have most of the TVs, most of the shows. I'll have to check my subscriptions because every month they're changing based on my wife's, proclivities, like what she's like, which show does she want to watch, which series is going on. So I would say there's an 8 out of 10 chance that I have Apple TV currently.
Okay. You need to watch Severance.
Oh, I've heard it's great. I haven't seen it. Don't give any spoilers.
It is
no spoilers.
Incredible
Live on Post Game Beers.
Can you give a 10-second big picture description without spoiling?
So main character Adam Scott goes through this surgery to kind of help get over the pain of the death of his wife.
Ooh. Okay.
And what they do is they put a chip into your brain, or they put something into your brain where it severs your work life from your home life. So whenever you go to work, that's a completely different you than when you're at home. Like, you have no memories of what you do at work, no nothing. Conversely, when you're at work, you have no idea who you are, what you are.
You're like
while you're on the outside. Basically. They call them innies and outies.
Yeah.
Outside of not having like regular conversations with people at work, like about your home life.
Yeah.
I kind of love it. I mean, guys do that normally.
It's
right?
an interesting concept.
But guys do that anyway. We can separate stuff and say, hey, I'm working or I'm home, and kind of do two separate things.
Dude, you say that guys do that separately, right? But at least in the jobs that I've done in my life, anytime you get like coworkers outside of work, all you do is talk about work.
True. Yeah.
Like if you're going to happy hour or something like that,
it's funny you say that, because on Date Not on Friday with my wife, I'm like, hey, let me tell you about this thing that happened at work. It's crazy.
It's a really interesting concept.
Oh, okay. Bella
Great
Fox,
show too.
Thanks, Bella, for chiming in and watching the show live. So one of her comments was like, hey, but you wouldn't know about sports though. And I'm like, oh, I wouldn't. That's
not at work. You wouldn't, but at home you would.
But I talk to my coworkers about sports. I've had
MK walks out of the office I'm the host of Post Game Beers. I mean, check me out.
Well,
YouTube,
I kind of wish it was like that, but actually it's more about I work with some 49ers fans. So it's like, hey, as a Chiefs fan, you guys.
Yeah, you can't go in there on after another Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
And really rub
bummer.
it.
Not this one, but there's no Eagles fans. There's no Eagles fans I work with, so it's great. Fellas, we've got some, kind of a rough week, I would say, for Frog Ball to talk about.
I don't know, some good, some bad.
Some good and some bad. And I think that's where we want to highlight is that there's definitely some bad that we need to share, we need to talk about. I think it's worthwhile and it's fair. Also, that one of the comments, one of the actually responses to our tweet yesterday was like, hey, tell me your thoughts, tell me your concerns. And our friend Omaha is on my mind said, talk me off the ledge, please. And Omaha is on my mind tonight. I hope to do that. We hope to do that. This is not the end of the season. We've got a lot of baseball left to play. So let's kind of talk about the good and the bad and actually, be honest about that. Before we get into games, what are the things you guys want to share? Otherwise, we'll jump into Friday night's recap.
Oh, on the spot. I got nothing.
let's roll, man.
Friday.
Let's get into it.
Before we get into games, we'd like to appreciate our sponsor, Long Drink. I've got the lotion. Ray's got the peach. Garrett will have one next week. Long Drink is the original Finnish drink. It's gin and citrus. It is delicious, especially as the weather gets warmer. It's such a good thing to have in your backyard while you're watching a game of Frog Ball USA. So grab a Long Drink.
Perfect weekend for Long Drink. Weather was absolutely perfect.
All right. Long Drink is fire. Thanks, Thomas. It absolutely is. All right. Game one. Let's talk about it. Friday night, the Frogs started the weekend series off on a high note, taking it to the Golden Eagles to the tune of 5-2. It was a low-scoring game, but Cole Kramer scored in the fifth on a balk to tie it 2-2, and that's kind of when the Woobirds started coming out. I love on a Friday night, a night game, the Woobirds start coming out. It rattles the pitcher. It's just a fun environment at Lupton. Of the Frogs, 4 runs scored in the 5th through the 7th innings. 3 of them were unearned. So on Friday, it was Southern Miss who was making those mistakes, and we'll talk about how that changed the rest of the week.
Yeah, it was kind of a theme, right, for the weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Another strong start. Braden Sloan was magnificent, pitching the final 4 innings. He gave up 0 hits, 0 runs, only had 2 walks. The victory alma mater on Friday night was super sweet. Just a fun night out at Lupton.
Give them L's, TCU. Yeah, it was great. And Cademan, another kind of kind of a rough start for him, but settles down quickly. And then dude was once again lights out. And then how about that tandem, as you mentioned, Sloan was incredible. Oh my God.
Yeah, the Cademan to Sloan combo games could keep being very, very sweet themes this year if they keep that up, man.
Dude, the only duo that I can name that's better is Long Drink and Chinook Cedaries. That's the only duo I can think of that would match that.
That's how good podcasting.
Garrett, you said it, but on Saturday before the game, so that was before game 2, Ray said the exact same thing. He's like, who can beat Cademan Parker and Braden Sloan back to back? And if you have only 2 pitchers that pitch on your first game, what does that do for the rest of your bullpen, for the last 2 games of a series?
Yeah. Doesn't that make you feel incredibly confident going in Saturday afternoon? I know I certainly was.
Dude, yeah, you got a full arsenal. Your chamber's fully loaded.
You can do whatever you want with your bullpen for Saturday. I know I don't want to jump ahead, but my gosh, man. Now, and that also begs the question too. Do you think they're going to keep Braden as that type of bullpen weapon, or do you think we're going to eventually see him starting baseball games because of how elite he's been for such a long stretch? We got 4 really good innings out of him.
Dude, maybe a conversation for another day, but
Yeah.
right now I kind of feel don't broke, don't fix, right?
Yep.
Like keep that. You've got that. You feel really good about if you can feel really good about every Friday game to where you're thinking you're heading into Saturday up 1-0 just about every weekend. That's damn good.
No
It's
doubt.
tough. It's tough because it's almost like a guaranteed win on a Friday night, and most coaches would take that, right? Like, hey, if I could guarantee I'm going to pitch 2 guys, maybe 3 to come in and close it, but Parker and Sloan are going to finish most of the game, and they've done so for 3 weeks in a row now. Like, I don't think there's any reason to change unless you're struggling so much on Sundays, which we will talk about, that you have to pull somebody out, from that rotation.
And if you're going to change, it would probably, at this point be Sloan, right?
It's tough.
Like,
right.
This is like a puzzle piece.
You kind of, as you parse it out, like, or at least me, I'm kind of thinking about it live or whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, say you remove Sloan from Fridays. Okay, now you're having to replicate those 3 or 4 innings, on Friday. And I think maybe you can piecemeal that a lot easier than you can, like if you start Braden on Sundays to get through,
I mean, it's crazy. Like, I know that they're going to break this down more on Thursday with the deep dish, but at San Diego, Sloan pitched 4 innings, gave up 0 runs. Michigan, 3 innings, gave up 1 run. Southern Miss, 4 innings, gave up 0 runs. I mean, he is just absolutely killing it.
He is, man.
I wonder too what he feels more comfortable doing.
Oh, because he started a couple games on Tuesdays last year. Yeah.
And the results have been mixed. Like he had the great start against Arizona last year, right? But he had a rough start against Kansas, rough start against Oklahoma. He's been lights out of the bullpen.
I think your initial thought, Ray, is spot on, right? It's not broke. Don't fix it.
Not for now.
Not for now. Not until, unless you get put into some type of situation where you just have to address holes. It's fun to like, talk about though. It's fun to
really is it is good. It makes for great conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's just cool
got
too
this
to have
one perfect entity right here.
Yeah.
Can we split this up and try to make it, 2 really good options? Now you feel pretty good about Fridays and you would feel pretty good about Sundays, and you already, for the most part, feel really good about your Saturday starter.
Yeah, you certainly do. You have to.
Pretty dynamic.
Just want to highlight the fact that there were 14 strikeouts by the Golden Eagles on Friday, and 7 for both Caden Parker and Braden Sloan. I mean, just an awesome night. I think that answered the question from TCU Scouting. He asked a question about, does Sloan move to the Sunday starter? TBD, because it's like if you move him, then you're going to lose something on Friday, which we've already talked about. But obviously, he's got a skill set that could certainly translate.
Just be happy you're getting to watch what he's producing right now on Friday nights. And you have that weapon in the chamber, that bullet in the chamber, winning if you need it.
It's kind of funny, and I know this was kind of the theme of the weekend, was aggressiveness on the base paths and how that can really help you and also bite you in the keister. That game's probably a heck of a lot closer if they aren't as aggressive as they were.
Yeah.
When Stroh-Snyder stole second, advanced to third on an air, comes around and scores.
That's very true. It's such a frustrating thing because it's such a key part of this team's identity. And it's also such an easy thing for folks to want to criticize when things don't go our way. But that's a perfect point, man. Like, because of that aggressiveness and because of TCU's play style, that's kind of paints a picture of why things were what they were on Friday night offensively. It's how you scoot 5 across. No, I get the flip side of that coin and why people get upset about it, but I mean that's kind of just such a. It feels like that's such a core principle to what TCU does. It's just you kind of get what you get when it comes to their aggressiveness. I don't know. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on that because I know it's super controversial.
We're going to talk more about it. We'll talk more about it because the aggressiveness came back to bite us on game 2 and 3. So
aggressiveness giveth, aggressiveness taketh away.
There we go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Game 2 on Saturday. Matchup was a very different game. 4 home runs total. 3 of them, unfortunately, for the Golden Eagles. Frogs grabbed one of those on Silva's breakout bomb over the left field fence. That was awesome because we were ready for him to kind of let's have a good moment for Anthony Silva this season. And that was the start of one for sure. So we'll talk about the pitchers for TCU, but what I want to fast forward to is the 9th inning. So the Frogs were down 5-1. Chase Brunson started the inning off with a double that fired up the crowd. People were getting excited. Hey, do we have some Lupton magic back in us? Colton Griffin singled. Brunson obviously, moved over and then scored on a wild pitch. So it's 5-2 at that point, and people are wooing, and the crowd is into it. And it's like, hey, we've got this, perfect inning started off, and let's get it going. Silva and Strohsnyder walked. So next up, you've got actually replacement at that point because he didn't start the game. Noah Franco with the bases loaded, down 5-2, bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th, down 5-2. Noah Franco is up to bat. Exactly what everybody wanted. I mean, we're sitting there, I'm looking around and like, this is what we want to see. We want to see our star freshman ready to go, slam, a ball over Belair in this moment and kind of walk off the game. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Noah, he swung so hard. There was a couple balls that he swung. He swings so hard and he's going to hit some balls so far, but today was not the day. He hit a grounder, kind of got to the pitcher and they threw him out. We got a run scored. So that was great. We were down 5-3 at that point. Unfortunately, Isaac Cadena struck out to end the game. So we lost 5-3. Close game. The 9th inning was very fun, but the Golden Eagles tied the series at that point. So kind of disappointing.
Disappointing, but you've got 2 top 25 teams in an early season battle. I mean, that's just kind of big time baseball, right? It didn't come out your way, but man, what a fun game.
I agree with that, Ray. It's kind of the same feeling I had with Arkansas, where the breaks didn't go your way. You had that crap going off. Whose foot did that ball fly off of in the 6th inning?
Okay, you want to talk about? So let's talk about some details.
Because golly, that was frustrating.
Cole Kramer?
I skipped over this because I wanted to talk about the big picture, but let's talk about it. 6th inning, Cadena and Kramer are on base. Cadena's on second, Kramer's on first. Brunson is behind the plate. There's 2 outs. There's 2 outs at this point. So Coach Mo, let's give him credit. In this moment, he called a perfect hit and run in this situation.
No doubt.
So Chase Brunson slashes a ball exactly to the second baseman. And guess what the second baseman is doing? He's moving over to second base because there's a double steal situation. So Cadena's going to third. Griffin's going to second. Or Kramer's going to second. Sorry. Kramer's going to second. And so the second baseman moves. And the ball goes exactly where he was, except it hits freaking, what was it?
Kramer.
Right in the foot.
Right in the foot.
Like, I mean, you cannot script this worse for TCU.
It's one of those moments where I jumped out of my chair doing the hands in the air cheer immediately to the sad cobra. Oh no.
Hits Kramer in the foot, end of the inning. That's the 3rd out. Ray stood up and put his hand up like this with his mouth open for, I want to say it was like 2.5 minutes. I don't think he moved.
I could not believe what I had just saw. like the unluckiest of unlucky breaks like that. Oh my God. You go from thinking you're to tie the game up, you have the potential to take the lead to inning over. Like that ended the inning. And I was stunned. I'm still stunned.
It was crazy because the game was close on Saturday. Like that could have turned the tables for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
For the Frogs to actually win the series. Because what would have happened was if the ball had gotten through, Cadena would have scored because he was already rounding second.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been an easy score right there to tie the game. I mean, it's brutal.
The go-ahead run on third.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That's the kind of thing that sticks out when when you look at a weekend as a whole and things didn't go your way we're cursed.
All right. So
the sky is falling.
I'm going to talk about more negatives and then we'll end on a positive for game 2. So game 2, 7 pitchers for the Frogs. That was pretty wild. So we had Lepore. He goes 4 and 2/3. He gives up 2 runs only, but the Frogs could not find any support for him. I want to talk about that later. I want that theme to be a little bit later because I have some numbers for Lepore. Brassfield comes in and he actually had a great outing, but he gives up a home run in the 8th inning. And the next pitcher that comes in is Luis Rodriguez. Luis comes in, single pitch, home run. That's it. He's out. He has 1 pitch and it's back-to-back homers and Kirk pulls him. Okay. All right. We're the game's not over. We're fine. Gianluca comes in, Gianluca Shin, which actually he's had some decent outings so far. I'm kind of excited about his future. How do I say this? 2 consecutive walks, but it was 9 balls in a row. And so the Southern Miss fans turned into Aggie and they started counting balls nonstop. And I'm like, you guys got to be kidding me. Like ball 5, ball 6, ball 7, ball 8. They got to ball 9 when finally Kirk pulled him because he's like, he's out of here. I can't keep him in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Caden Smith, Trey Newman, Blake Rogers, who debuted for the first time in over a year. He was our Baylor transfer in 2024, didn't play last year because of an injury. And so again, that's my downside, I guess, is like we had 7 pitchers. I don't really understand I feel like we did that last Sunday, but I think Kirk's just like funneling through guys. So I don't know where we want to go with this, but I wanted to list everybody and then you guys can take it from there.
Well, first off, you had all those guys available, right? Because you didn't have to use anyone on Friday, right?
Yep.
And so kudos to Kurt to immediately hey, this guy doesn't have it. This guy doesn't have it. And with the quick hooks, right? Just trying to find someone for it to stick. And hey, Mason Brassfield was fantastic.
He was good.
I was going to say
that was 3 solid ass innings, solely by the one home run. His final batter.
Was he pulled too quick?
I don't know. I
think so.
You think so, Garrett?
I do. I mean, again, hindsight is what it is, but those guys can smash. I don't understand why. One got away from him, hit a dinger. It wasn't the end of the world. I don't think he needed to get pulled yet, but he was going to be my highlight. He is my highlight for the game. My bright spot. You mentioned a bright spot. I thought he looked really, really good. I would like to see him. I would like to have seen him pitch a little deeper, but as y'all know, hindsight is what it is. He only threw 43 pitches. He probably could have gone a little deeper. But again, it is what it is. It's not a huge deal.
I trust the coaches on that he hasn't pitched incredibly much. He started the game on Tuesday against Tarleton, went 3 innings, only a couple of innings, in the season before that. He's just a freshman. And so it's kind of one of those things where, I mean, you just don't want to leave him out there and then the wheels completely fall off. And now,
no, I get your saying. I just didn't think the wheels were off. I just, it kind of feels like you're like, he's getting a little bit, maybe he feels like he was getting punished a little bit for letting that happen. I would have liked to have seen him let it ride a little more.
Agreed. So let me talk about his numbers for this game. He went 3 innings. He gave up 3 hits, 0 walks. He had 3 strikeouts. One of those hits was a home run. It was just a blast, right? So a single ball hits a home run. That's it. But like, he wasn't wild. He wasn't walking people. There weren't multiple runs in a row. But as soon as he hit that home run, he was out. So it just seemed like a quick hook.
Yeah, it kind of did. But I get what you're saying too, right? You know, freshman hasn't pitched much, hasn't really been stretched out, but I certainly would have liked to have seen.
And then you bring in Lewis, and honestly, we're excited for Lewis because we're like, hey, we know what Lewis can do. And unfortunately, Lewis pitches literally 1 pitch, and the next it's a home run. The next ball, it's like,
okay, results, like, put yourself back into that moment, right? You're in the top of the 7th. There's 2 outs, or top of the 8th. I think it's top of the 8th.
It was the 8th inning. Yep.
Yeah, top of the 8th, 2 outs, right? You just saw Brassfield give up a home run. Okay. It's still a 3-1 ball game.
Yeah.
At that point, let's go get a guy that we feel comfortable with in Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Have him. He's probably, if he's on, like he usually is taking you the rest of the way, right?
I want to know what Kirk said to Lewis when he walked out and said, "You're out of the game," like after literally 1 pitch. I mean, that's crazy, because Lewis is probably like, come on, man. Like, give me a chance, He throws 1 pitch and the guy's gone. It's nuts. Anyway.
Yep. No, for real. To be a fly on the wall in that conversation.
We're going to end game 2 on a positive. I told you. I said we're going to end on a positive.
Give it to me.
Frogs only struck out 3 times. Let's go.
Really? Yeah. I didn't even realize that.
But they only had 7 hits, so that's kind of a negative. But they only struck out 3 times. Only 3 times.
Dude, I've got a positive.
Let's go.
Tommy Lepore.
All right.
Didn't have his best stuff.
We haven't talked enough about Tommy. He went 4 and 2/3. Go for it.
Didn't have his best stuff. Felt like he was consistently battling, his command, but did enough to give the Frogs 4 2/3 of really solid starting pitching. Dude was running it up there 97, 98 consistently. What a hoss.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Tommy for a second?
Yeah.
San Diego, 6 innings pitched. He gave up 6 hits, but 0 earned runs. The Frogs scored 3, which was plenty because San Diego didn't score anything. Arkansas, 6 innings pitched, 2 runs on just 2 hits. Frogs only scored 1 in that game. Southern Miss, 4 2/3, 2 runs on 4 hits. Frogs scored 0 during the time that he was pitching. So here's what I'm saying is he's had 3, what I would say, great outings. If 4 2/3 isn't enough to be a, what do you call it? Like a
quality start.
Quality start. I don't care. To me, that was a quality start. And the Frogs have only scored 4 runs in 3 games that he's pitched. I'm like, this is not a Tommy Lepore problem. This is a Frogs offensive problem.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Get our guys some run support.
So we're through Saturday now with a total of what? 14 hits, maybe, for the Frogs at this point.
How many hits did they have on Friday? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Friday they had 8, so 15.
15, yeah, so 15 hits now so far we've seen at Lupton for the past 2 days.
We've seen some games with 22 hits. Like, what's going on here?
which, 15 hits does seem like a lot. It's just when you're getting those hits.
Say one more positive shout out we forgot to mention was Silva's home run.
Freebird.
Yep.
Man, and
it was in the stadium. Dude. So they played it in the stadium.
I absolutely loved that moment.
Me too,
and
dude.
I was like, man, I wish it could have been when we were winning and everyone was really amped and really would have gotten into it.
No doubt. But still that weight probably coming off his shoulders must have been great. So super happy for Tony. Get that done.
Really happy for Anthony Silva. I hope this is kind of a turnaround for him just to have more confidence, because
no doubt.
I mean, he's not that different guy than he was his freshman year, but guys have more film on him his sophomore year. And so now it's time for him to, step it up and move up those draft boards.
Yes.
Martin had talked on the Thursday Deep Dish that Anthony Silva loves hitting at Lupton. He's like a career, he either said 324 or 345 hitter at Lupton, where he's close to like a 200 hitter on the road.
Man, that's wild.
Mm-hmm. That is nutty, isn't it?
Comment from our friend Bella Fox. Those high flyouts were absolutely murder all weekend. That was actually something, Ray, you and I noticed. I feel like they just kept popping the ball up instead of hitting it. Instead of hitting it low or on the ground, it was just nonstop pop-ups.
Yeah. Martin says that was just for 2024. So last year.
But we'll take it. We'll take it.
Definitely take it because last year was a struggle for him overall. But you look at his numbers at home and he was fantastic. Thank you, Martin.
All right. So before we get to some concerns and questions from our friends at the X, the All app or whatever we're talking
Twitter.
about.
It's Twitter.
Game 3.
It'll always be Twitter.
Rubber match on Sunday. Started off similarly. Southern Miss. They scored first. It was 4-0 before the Frogs finally got on the board in the 5th inning. 1 second. I'm going to pause my child's shower.
So
if you can vamp for a second.
I'll take this. It was 4-0 going into the 5th. Frogs strike for 3 in the 5th on a Stroh-Snyder ground out. And then a Sam Myers double. Good to see Sam get the bat going.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it 5-3 at that point, or 4-3. Frogs are back, but then the 8th inning happened, and Southern Miss teed off that inning.
Yeah, they.
Where are we at here? You ready?
We're in the 8th inning when Southern Miss is teeing off.
Bombs are flying.
Did you get to the 8th inning already? Okay.
Yeah.
The wheels fell off.
Were flying.
The Golden Eagles went deep. They had 3 doubles in a row. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
And
super
then
fun.
A 2-run homer in the 9th, and that kind of ended it as the Golden Eagles took it 11-3. Looking back, I want to talk about the 8th inning pitching change real quick. So Cohen Feaser, he had gone 3 innings scoreless, 5, 6, 7. In the 8th inning, brings in Cade Udy, which I actually love Cade Udy. I'm excited for his development as a freshman, and especially in the TCU program with the guys that he's around. I can't wait for that. But Cade Udy comes in, and that's when everything went crazy. And so I'm wondering if that was a decision that Kirk looks back on and was like, should have stuck with Cohen Feaser for maybe one more inning.
I don't know. I disagree.
Okay, go for it.
Feaser's just coming back, had an arm injury that he rehabbed all of last year. His pitch very limited so far this season. 3 innings was a lot. I'm fine with getting him out and going to Udy, which he's been great, but like every freshman, you're going to have ups and you're going to have some downs. And unfortunately, on Sunday, that was a down.
Thomas a question there. How many pitches did Beasley have? He threw 36. But again, what Ray was saying, it was a good time to get him out of the game.
Still, yeah. I mean, it's still early in the year, right?
Yeah.
And you want to protect arms to an extent. You don't want to overextend anyone because you don't have to.
No,
in all honesty,
and when when Cade went in the game, I know I felt good about it. I thought it was, I think everyone would feel good about it.
It's the same thing.
Hindsight 2020. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah.
I agree. It just sucks because that's
like I'm gonna shove you into a locker, MK.
That's just how baseball go, But at the time, I'm like, let's go, Cade. I'm ready. Like, let's go. And there's
no.
Double.
It is.
Double,
I mean,
it's home run.
It's just like the day before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You take Brassfield out of the game and you bring in Lewis, and you're feel
good,
pretty confident, right?
Yeah.
It just
and you have every reason to.
It didn't work.
And maybe this is the time of year when you're not worried about losses like this, because you're saying, hey, I'm trying to give my guys time on the mound, and I don't need to stretch Cohen Feezer out because this is not a must-win game.
It's not a conference game.
Yeah.
Which those are the most important.
These
games matter to an extent of, like you said, you're trying to figure things out.
Well,
end of season seeding possibilities.
We want Southern Miss to be good for RPI, right? I mean, we do want that.
I'm much more concerned about the lack of hitting.
Okay. Before you get to that, Garrett.
Yes.
Anything because that's a great question, and we have a lot of questions in that on the feedback.
World. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yep. Anything else on game 3? Frogs lose 2 out of 3. Anything else?
Once again, so originally not slated to start, but Colton Griffin gets dinged up in warmups, and so they insert Anthony Silva into the lineup, and he responded very nicely, going 2 for 3 on the day.
That's awesome. Do we know anything about Colton Griffin and kind of that lay scratch?
I think it's just precautionary.
Okay.
Everything
because he was in the starting lineup and then he got scratched late, like really.
Yeah, I think he got dinged warming up.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Silva had a hit game first of the year, so that's good.
Nolan Traeger, also another outstanding game. Dude, that freshman.
I know. It's great.
Pretty dang good.
Silva stacking a day with a home run onto another day with multiple hits. He's back, baby.
And I don't know how many of y'all noticed at the 9th inning, but we had a pinch hitter. Did you know who pinch hit in this game?
Brody Green.
We had a Brody Green appearance.
A wild Brody Green appears.
So, he had, I think it was a hip problem coming into the season. Looks like he's just about back, and that's another, potential bat for this lineup going forward.
Yeah, man, that's something to be excited about. I totally forgot about that. You said that. Thank you, Ray.
Great news. I've got a ton of comments from our tweet yesterday about, hey, what concerns, questions, what do you want to vent about, on the pod? And so thank you to all of our followers on X. Appreciate that. Also, if you could jump on YouTube and just, be a follower there, that would help us out.
Subscribe.
I want to stop for a second to talk about Chinook Seedery, the best seeds ever. There's 8 different flavors. Each one the better than the next. And I keep bringing different flavors to the boys, and we're like, dude, these are great. Hatch chili, jalapeno ranch.
That's my favorite. That Hatch chili you brought on Friday was absolute fire.
That's my favorite too. There's lemon pepper.
So good.
Right, that cinnamon toast you gave me on Saturday, pretty good.
Did it take you back to Saturday morning cartoons?
It absolutely did. It really did.
So thank you to Chinook for sponsoring us and supplying us with some seeds. So, all right, here's some thoughts from the boys, from the guys on the X. I'm trying to compile these into themes. It's kind of tough, but let's start with kind of an obvious one. What is the answer on offense from Too Cold You? And we're talking about who can you go in, actually specifically on offense, who can go in for some of the guys struggling in the outfield. And when we talk about outfield, we're talking about TCU scouting helped me out with some folks. The team average is 242. You've got Myers at 185, Sam Myers, and you've got Stroh-Snyder at 182. So let's talk about the offense for a little bit and kind of the struggles there.
Yeah, it's been a very up and down. So you have a lot of youth on this team. And with youth comes a lot of highs and a lot of lows. There's been a lot of lows. I would imagine that Sam Myers and Stroh-Snyder will both tell you that they haven't gotten off to the best starts. But Sam does walk a lot. I think he's leading or is up there with the team lead in walks.
I don't want to glass over his double on Sunday.
He had a very encouraging weekend.
What I'm saying is his double scored 2 on Sunday. He, it was a huge hit. So yes, his batting average is lower than we'd like, but there's positive signs there.
Now, what you can do, and we talked a little bit about this on the Thursday Deep Dish, and more that you see it in action or the more that you watch, you're like, okay, yeah, you can move. How about move Isaac Cadena to either corner and you can sit and get a day for either Stroh-Snyder or, Sam. You could play Noah Franco at first, get you a big, tall lefty first baseman. Love that. And then you can DH Carson and you get Noah Traeger's bat in the lineup. I feel like you have to get Noah Traeger's bat in the lineup, dude. He's just been produced. Every time he's in a game, he produces.
Yeah.
You ride that hot hand, especially whenever you have a lot of people that aren't producing right now.
Do you find it interesting that they haven't started Franco for the last couple games?
I was going to ask you guys about that and see if there was a consensus right answer, because I assumed that they would have.
No, not really. I want to say, wasn't the Southern Miss starter a lefty on Saturday?
Yeah, no, it's totally matchup related. I'm not
doubt.
necessarily worried about that. I think he's going to start when he has to start. He had a couple absolute bombs against San Diego. And so it's fun to see the big stuff and say, hey, this is what he will do every game, which is not true, right? But to have him not start and then come in late, and it's funny because we already talked about this in the recap, but on Saturday, he was okay. So there was a DH who came in the 8th or 9th and got on base with a walk, I want to say. And then Noah Franco was the pinch runner. And everyone's like, wait, why wouldn't he have just hit instead? So he was the pinch runner. And then that's what got him up again in the 9th inning with the bases loaded, which everyone's like, oh, Kirk's a genius. I'm like, that's fine. Like
4D chess.
Yeah, he's playing 4D chess. But why also wouldn't he have just hit at that moment earlier in the game?
That was my biggest question, because the last question you just asked about the outfield. So if you feel like you're having problems out there, Stroh-Snyder's having a down moment, it doesn't hurt to just plop Franco out there, does it? Can we just plop him out there and let him hit?
You could, or Cadena can play the outfield. I like the idea.
Yeah, sure. Then I like that idea too.
Cadena in the outfield and having Noah Franco
on first.
A tall first baseman.
Sure.
On first.
Franco's so tall. His legs are so long. They're kind of, I won't say MLB long, but it's obviously he's built different. Hashtag built different.
Speaking of Cadena, did you all know he has already walked 10 times?
Good. Keep him on.
Say, I didn't realize he was leading the team. That's great.
Yeah, here Sydney says, we got to see Jacob Silva.
Oh yeah,
his first at bat.
That's exactly what it was. Jacob Silva. Thank you, Sydney. Jacob Silva pinch hit and walked an incredible walk. I think he might have been down 0-2 or like 1-2. Walked to first base, and then Franco pinch ran for him. So we're like, this is weird. This doesn't make sense, because we expected Colton Griffin to get out there and to run because he's so damn fast. But yeah, you saw Franco run out there. We're like, all right, we'll figure this out later. And then sure enough, it actually turned out to be okay. Okay, so let's stay on the offense for a second. Andy Swain, offense approaches are painful to watch. Far too many errors on the base paths. Same thing with Horned Frog 86. Too aggressive with the base running until we improve. And then there's one more. I'm going to say this correctly in the pod, Mr. Fuggin Myrtle. Do we have
what did you say?
Yeah, you heard it.
This is a family pod.
Do we have conflicting? This is a good question, though. Do we have conflicting approaches on offense in the box versus the base paths? Okay, so think about this. Conflicting approaches. We don't put the ball on the ground enough to be that aggressive when we're on base. So I thought that was a good question. Like, hey, they're very aggressive on base, yet we're not putting the ball on the ground. We're just hitting pop flies.
I feel like that question probably stems from the Jack Bell moment. I feel like whoever wrote that question on Sunday probably thought of that question whenever that happened, and Coach Mo got kind of visibly upset at him. Yeah.
So,
because I mean, no, I kind of mentioned this at the top, but you can certainly see the frustration. But again, that's always just going to be part of the MO around these parts, isn't it?
Here's the thing. I can live with inconsistencies at the plate. This is a young team, and you're going to have up and down moments where you're not always going to be hitting. The mental errors drive me banana sandwiches. And it's not just the base running errors, right? It's spiking the ball to first on a pickoff move. It's dropping pop flies. You clean up these mental errors, and this weekend's probably a lot different. You go back to Friday, mental errors pretty much cost Southern Miss the game.
Yeah.
But it was also the aggressive running too, like ball in the dirt, bounces off the catcher's chest pad, and we break for third.
Yeah, because you need the aggressive running, I think. But to your point, if you clean up a lot of those mental errors in the field, you clean all that up, then that kind of gives you that leeway to be more aggressive. And if you get caught once or twice, it happens. But because you've been clean everywhere else, it doesn't kill you. Whenever you're committing kind of boneheady type stuff in other places, then that stuff on the base path is going to stand out more to people, because then it is going to give the impression of, wow, this is really hurting us. When you look at the box score at the end of the day.
Kyle, you wanted
does that make sense?
Yeah. One of the earlier questions at the beginning of the show was talk me off the ledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's my answer to that now. I'll give it to you now. Like, mental errors can be cleaned up That's stuff that's easily coachable and easy to fix.
There you go.
All you do, go out there and fix it.
Yeah. Well,
be locked in.
But it's certainly frustrating to get picked off multiple times in the same game. You're like, wait, this is a thing. This is easily coachable. This is easily coachable.
Yeah, this is stuff that can be fixed.
A missed ball in right field, that stuff happens. That's a human error. We hope that that's not like a trend, if you will.
Yeah, for sure, it's stuff that can be fixed, but it's okay to say that it's also incredibly frustrating.
Oh my God, it's super frustrating. It drove me nuts the entire weekend.
Yeah, 3 times in a single game. But again, right, to be positive, the quote unquote talk you off the cliff question is, it's not like we're sitting here like, oh crap, dude, we can't pitch on Friday. And then we follow it up with we can't pitch on Saturday. Like, if that was a problem this team is having, then maybe consider the cliff edge. But it's not. We're throwing the ball really well. We're pitching the ball really well. What's the hiccups we're seeing, or to Ray's point, they feel like there's just stupid little mental things that are happening, whether they're in the field or on the base path, and that kind of stuff can get cleaned up. I would much rather try and improve our plate discipline, take more quality at bats, than try and put together a starting rotation, because we have that part locked down, it feels like.
Yeah,
Cam,
for sure.
Cam, your comment, it's wild that it's happening to a top 10 to 15 program at college baseball. Agreed.
Yeah, no doubt.
One thing I noticed this weekend was that Coach Mo was coaching every player on the team. So he yelled at Noah Franco. He yelled at other players.
Definitely Jack Bell.
In their
met
face.
him out at second base.
He was not scared about, he ran out to second base.
Yeah.
He was not scared about coaching guys on the field. And I'm wondering, is there some backlash, not in a bad way, I'm trying to figure out a better way to say it, like him back in the program as the offensive,
tough love, right?
That's not, but exactly, right? So they're still getting used to him as the offensive coach versus TJ Bruce. So there's still some growing pains there.
Yes. And
yes is what I'm hearing. Yes and yes.
No.
Well, I'm just
stylistically, right? And their approach.
There's some freshmen that have never dealt with Coach Mo before, right?
Yeah.
But they don't
Most
know
of this team hasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they don't. Guys, Jack, perfect example of that.
And a guy runs to second base, gets thrown out, and he runs out to second base and yells at him like, "What the hell are you doing?" He either missed a call, he misread the signs, or he, did something happen there, which we don't know, and we may never know. But I feel like Coach Mo's like working. He's working underneath the scenes and just figuring stuff out. And like at some point, this is going to mesh between the offensive production and the approach at the plate, and also what you're doing at first base and second base. And right now it's not working. It's a total like mishmash. So anyway, I'm trying to think positively right now.
Love it.
Yeah. Positive's good. Positive. I mean, we're 7-4. The sky's not falling.
Frogball season asks, any signs of dysfunction in the program?
Oh, geez.
Ray, have you seen any signs of dysfunction?
I see more signs of dysfunction on this podcast than I do with TCU Baseball.
We can't even get a consistent lineup for who's hosting.
Well, we haven't gotten a consistent lineup for TCU Baseball either. So
trying to look through these questions. Oh, interesting. I haven't paid attention to this, and I'm sorry, Matt Hawksworth. Thank you for asking the question. I didn't do the research on this, but why are Kramer and Cadena sharing a bat?
That's the first I've heard that's a thing. But I assume, go ahead, Ray.
I think you see a lot of that That happens a lot in college baseball where they'll pass the bat.
Why not?
Do you think he meant sharing a bat or sharing an at bat, like where they're sharing time? Because Cadena's played every game, right?
No, they're sharing the same bat.
It almost clarifies they're sharing the same bat.
They hand it off to one another.
Oh yeah. Huh, they're just sharing a literal a bat. Okay.
A bat.
Oh, so my daughter is how old is she now? 8, 9, whatever. Every single girl buys a $100 bat at Academy. And then some girl buys a $350 bat because they're special. And guess what? They all share the same bat.
And meanwhile, is the dad that bought that bat sitting in the stands grumbling like all these rips are being taken off that same $350 bat he bought his little princess?
Too bad he's not there to see it.
Oh man.
Oh. Deep cut. Guess what? He's not listening to this pod. So anyway.
I need more to this story.
Talking about hitting approach, pop-ups. I've heard that before. I think we've hit everything for the most part. Yeah. Almost at an hour. All right. Okay, so Frogs were 2-2 on the week. Obviously, we won the game on Tuesday, and then went 1-2 on the weekend. We have a long month, fellas. We've got 2 games against Air Force on Tuesday and Wednesday, a series against Fresno State this weekend, Texas State, which is a really good team, the following week on Tuesday, and they're at Texas State, which I'm not thrilled about because I mean they're really good. And then Arizona State
can't go.
Yeah, and then Arizona State at home, which is great, but it's also spring break, for the TCU kids. So
it isn't crazy. Conference plays like literally 2 weeks away.
It is wild, and all the games they play are against good teams, including DBU, which I missed. But all that to say, so many opportunities to turn this around. This is, I feel like we're in a down, kind of mindset after losing to Southern Miss, Ray?
Yeah, it's because of last year, right? Things didn't go well last year, right? And so, I mean, each season is different, but because of the way things went last year and kind of sputtered there at the end, it kind of is this a continuation of that? That's why the vibes or the freakouts there,
Yeah, I think people just get a little people get a little leery. They get a little worried when they see a clunker like Sunday go down based off last year. But dude, it's so freaking early. There's so much baseball to play.
Yeah.
Not worried at all. Not worried at all. Because there's so many good things to take away. The frustrations we have, I think it's all things, Ray, to your point, they're going to get worked out.
All right. So let's end on that, Ray. We're going to end every episode, every pod on vibes are high because, and I don't care where we are in the season, whether we're in the tournament, whether we're out, we're going to try to end on something positive because you know what? It's more fun. So Ray, I want you to start with, why are the vibes high right now for Frog Ball USA?
Vibes are high because we are 7-4, right? And we're talking about a 7-4 team.
That's a winning team.
Do you know who is
more
not
wins than losses?
I can tell you who is not a winning team.
What?
If you go about 5 hours west of Fort Worth, there's a team in Lubbock that has started the season 2-7.
Abilene Christian? Are you kidding me? It's got to be ACU.
Could you imagine the freak out that they're having? We're sitting there like, oh man, can we get the offense going? And this is a 7-4 team. Freaking Texas Tech is dog water.
What?
Absolute dog water.
Tough times in Lubbock.
We're not Tech.
especially for a guy with a lifetime extension. That sucks.
See you March 21st.
Well,
boys.
the way the season has started, it's taken years off that lifetime extension. I'm sure for
It's
Coach
dog years
Tadlock, he's like, man,
It's in
beating his head against the wall.
exactly.
Garrett, what you got for vibes are high?
Vibes are high because this team can pitch. I feel like Fridays are just guaranteed, baby. I like my Cademan to Braden combination. I want to keep seeing it.
Dude, that's so true. It's not like these guys are going out getting shelled and we're
No.
struggling in offense. Dude, pitching wins. Pitching will always rule the day, and
Pitching
we have some
wins.
We have good pitching.
No doubt.
All right. I will say that vibes are high because it was finally great to see Tony Silva hit some balls this weekend, got a home run, got some other hits throughout. I feel like if for this team to succeed, they are going to count on Tony Silva, Carson Bowen, and some other, senior leaders to kind of step up and lead the team. And whether that happens now or whether that happens halfway through the Big 12, I think it's going to happen. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Heck yeah, absolutely.
Dude,
all right.
You want to talk about home runs?
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
I do.
So I was watching the weather forecast for tomorrow because it's supposed to be a little stormy in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Get some little thunder boomers. But, dude, you got to get out to if you can get out to Lupton tomorrow, you're going to – I imagine that TCU will hit 3 home runs. I'm giving at least 3 home runs tomorrow. Because a cold front is blowing through, which won't make it that cold. But you know what it's going to make it? It's going to be windy. I mean windy. They're saying like 30-mile-per-hour winds with like 50-mile-per-hour gust coming out of the west-northwest. That is blowing straight out to Bel Air.
Time to rock and roll, fellas.
Dude.
Yeah, no doubt. Send some onto the road. Right into the batter's eye.
61 degrees, 27 miles, west to northwest. Yeah, we're going. We're going deep.
No doubt.
Dude, 100%. Dude, Noah Franco, if Sawyer's in the lineup, he's getting his first. I'm putting in the call already before the game.
Love it. We'll replay this on Thursday during the deep dish with Martin. The call is in. Sawyer Strohsnyder with his first home run. Thank you all for joining us. Appreciate Long Drink and Chinook Seedery for sponsoring us. We're always grateful for the people that chime in on the chat. And if you could follow us on YouTube, we would really appreciate it. But we're also on X and everywhere else on your social media. So, right?
One last. Sorry, I was reading Bella's comment.
Yeah, one last comment.
No, our good friend Bella, a fantastic realtor in the Houston area.
Oh, if you're in Houston,
yeah,
and you need a contact for a realtor,
real nice house in Belleville. Look it up. But she says, I don't feel like this is the same issue as last year. It feels like the Jello needs to congeal. The parts are there.
I agree, Bella.
No doubt. Isn't that a good positive comment to leave the show with right there?
Hashtag ad. Thanks, Bella.
Yeah. Buy a house from Bella.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Let's see y'all on Tuesday and Wednesday at Lupton.
Early starts
is in town. And then we'll see you at Fresno Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Let's go Frogs.
Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.